All right. Hello, everybody. We are recording this time. We are not live, but I'm again here with my friend Rui for the third week already in the revenue architecture webinar series. Today, we are going to discuss another very hot topic that a lot of people already have discussed. Today, hopefully, we are gonna give you another perspective on this topic. And the topic, as you can see it on the screen, is AI's role in revenue architecture and go-to-market. In the next 30 minutes, together with Rui, we are going to talk about, on the one hand, where we are in the AI adoption, what we've already seen and what's ahead of us, what AI has helped us with, what are the disappointments, and many other things. So please stay with us to watch our conversation and listen to some insights that potentially you can also think about. And by the way, even if this is recorded, feel free to leave any comments. We'll make sure to check those comments and answer those, even if it's offline. So hello, Rui. It's great pleasure again to have you here for the last time, unfortunately.
All right, good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. So how do we start? AI's role in revenue architecture and go-to-market. In a conversation that we've had with you preparing for this webinar, you said that there is a great visual showing where we are in our AI journey right now in terms of is it still a hype? Are we going out of the hype? Maybe it's a very good idea to start with that and show, according to data statistics, where we are really with the AI adoption, and then we can continue the conversation from there. Right?
Yeah. Can you pull up?
Yes.
So I took this slide from Mark from Stage 2 Capital. He's a co-founder of Stage 2 Capital, and he really likes to talk about AI lately. And this is a presentation that he did in SaaStar. That was, I think this one was in London, but it was last year. Anyway, he talked about the hype cycle. So he took Gartner's hype cycle to talk about AI. And for those of you who do not know, the hype, basically a lot of technologies do follow the hype cycle. That means that there's a lot of hype in the beginning, and then it takes time to realize that potential. So the visibility, and you start to see a lot of companies do fail, and then until it becomes plateau of the productivity. So first, for example, Mark introduces that, and he talks about the 98 bubble. So the beginning of the internet somewhere in the early 90s, right? There's a lot of hype and a lot of companies that are coming towards the end of the century. A lot of companies started to try to take advantage of the internet, and then that 98, 2000, the bubble burst, and then we saw a lot of companies disappear. And of course, we all know what happened. This is roughly like 2010. This is where giants like Salesforce and Snowflake, all these companies, and Uber, and all these companies started to appear in that 2000-ish, 2005. And then we all know that now we're enjoying the internet, which has become a commodity. If we take that for the AI, what Mark says, and I completely agree with him, I don't know if we're past the peak, but we're definitely at the high point of visibility. And you can see that by the amount of funding that is going to AI, and we all heard of the crazy stories. If you want to raise capital nowadays, you have to have 2 letters in your URL and in your pitch, which is AI, artificial intelligence, and that's where most of the funding is currently going. There are 2, by the way. It's still security and cybersecurity, and it's AI. And it's AI. People say that it's even a bubble, and we've already are paying too much for those type of companies. But anyway, to our story, we're somewhere here. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of discussion around AI, but I believe that now we're going to start to see that plummet. So reality will kick in. A lot of companies that claim to do AI or to claim that they are disrupting traditional markets, reality will sink in, and we will see that it's not really delivering the promise that they have. So that's where I believe. So Yeah, to your point, today we're not going to talk about AI and talk about how you use ChatGPT to create emails and outgoing sequences. We believe that that is already a commodity, and I'm hoping that our viewers, all of them, know how to do that already. We're past that, right? We mentioned in the conversation that we had. I created a series of webinars and short videos on how to use ChatGPT. That was what 6-8 months ago, and there have been a lot of people that presented the prompts and how to do that. So you should be doing that, and if you're not doing that, you're missing out on using ChatGPT and leveraging that. This saves a lot of time. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the break promise of AI and how that will completely disrupt our industry and what we're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a couple of things also from me. First of all, I've heard somewhere, maybe it was on SaaStr as well, that 80% right now of all the VC funding is going to AI companies, right? And you mentioned security is the other one, but also someone said that maybe if you right now are searching for funding on AI, as the bubble started like a couple of years ago already, you might be late and you will be paying a very, very high price for this funding that you're going to receive right now, right? So very interesting moment. The other thing is, yes, completely agree. I think right now, most of the companies, and especially the go-to-market leaders and people working in go-to-markets, many people are already adopting in some way or another the most, like the tools that have become more popular, for example, ChatGPT and so on. And we see now the proliferation of those tools and more large language models that are specializing in something very specific that can produce very, very good results. Great. So maybe, as usually when we're talking about hype, because still some people, as you mentioned, believe the piece with AI is more on the hype side rather than the realities. We are usually talking about also some disappointments, right? Some people are saying, okay, we've achieved a lot. We managed to grow our top line, bottom line by XY%, right? But then there are a lot of people that are saying, come on, this is not working, or at least it's not working as much as we expected it to work, right?
Yeah.
What would you say about the disappointment specifically when it comes to AI? I think that's the more interesting part. Maybe just to balance things out after that, we can also talk about like the benefits and how the industry is changing. Yeah.
All right. I'll start off with the disappointment. So for us, one of the things that we spend a lot of time is, as a training and consulting, sales, go-to-market consulting and training company, we are in the training business, and we thought, okay, now AI is going to completely disrupt our world, and AI is coming for us, which it is, by the way. We understand that. But we thought that right now, looking at the research that we did like half a year ago, we thought that by summer of this year, AI is going to replace our sales trainers or CS trainers, right? Because AI, we teach them what good looks like, and hopefully we know what good looks like and how to do proper sales. And let's teach AI to teach our clients how to do proper selling and what are the questions that to ask and when, and how to open a call, how to close a call, and how to handle objection handling. There are a lot of companies out there that are trying to do that. However, we haven't seen like a good solution out there. And the reason is that because AI right now is based on LLM, large language modeling.
Primarily,
yes. Primarily, we also had, but even the other technologies that we analyzed or researched, it misses, for example, if we're talking about sales coaching, it misses the tonality. It misses the facial expressions. All the things that come naturally to us as humans, for AI, it doesn't even analyze that. So most of the solutions out there take transcripts and convert them into whatever the model is, and then plots an output. which is not good enough. And the results are not good enough. So there are a lot of companies that are out there. We tested some of them. Doesn't provide the results that we are looking for, because textual analysis can get you so far and you're missing a lot of finesse there.
Yeah, the thing is, actually, I've been thinking about this topic because the consultants' work, the advisors' work, the person who is really using their mind to deliver good results, this is one of the maybe hardest things to be replaced by AI in general. No, I at least don't see this happening very soon. But I was thinking, if the AI wave continues to progress, and we have, of course, I mean, consultants, advisors, I don't see those kinds of people and like job roles disappearing soon. Maybe those are one of the roles that will remain here and will be relevant in the AI age. But there are some companies, let's say, that are, for example, you're a relatively small business, right? You are still like, let's say you don't have enough funding, for example, you're bootstrapping, like still you are not there really with the full team, with being able to hire consultants, receive, this very good, quality help. Won't it be the case that AI will be able at least to bridge that gap, for these smaller segments of companies where you're still not ready or still you cannot afford to pay for the, this very kind of elite consultants? Can't an AI, something like, I don't know, consultant as a service tool, I haven't seen such a thing, but just kind of trying to imagine it, can it please bridge the gap, is my question, to be good enough? It's clear that it won't be as good as, for example, you going into the room and delivering a session. What do you think?
I think you're definitely right. But we don't know how. And when I say we don't know how, because we understand that gap, and we understand that AI at some point will replace us, if not completely, but a lot of the work that we're doing.
No.
We're still trying to figure out, because as every company out there, we want to be ahead of the curve, because if we don't adopt this type of technologies, somebody else will. So you're right, but we at Winning by Design still haven't figured that out. It's probably easier to do processes and to design the right processes.
Right.
How exactly to do that, we still haven't figured it out.
Right. And maybe here is also the place to mention that something that I think we also briefly discussed last time on where is process, where is AI, and the chicken and the egg situation, which I think in this case is very clear if explained well, right?
Yeah.
But maybe just again, let's say it, like AI, everybody knows it high level, but AI uses data, AI uses process, AI usually multiplies what we already have. And that's why usually the first thing that we invest in is process, right? To make sure we really understand what we are building on, we prove it, and after that we invest in AI to kind of make it bigger and multiply. Maybe feel free to dive a little deeper on that if you feel it's necessary.
Yeah, definitely. We think that there's a temptation to throw AI at problems. And of course that's understandable, but we tend to think that we can use AI to automate tasks and optimize things at lower cost. That's why AI is there. But there's a catch, right? AI can't fix inherent or underlying issues in our go-to-market process or in general, but let's focus on our area, the go-to-market process.
Right.
It could do the opposite. It can amplify the problems that we have. So before we try to incorporate AI-based products and tools, first of all, we need to have the right process in place. Only then we can have AI.
And do you think maybe that's one of the reasons why some companies get disappointed with AI? Just because right now we are still, as an industry and in general in the world, maybe still we haven't found the right way to adopt AI. I've heard this quote somewhere on LinkedIn this week. Someone was saying, we get disappointed by AI because we look at it as a very senior professional who we bring to the company. And more, we should be thinking about AI as a very enthusiastic intern that we join, right?
Great analogy. I love that.
Yeah. I think it was the CMO of HubSpot that I saw
Oh, really?
posted on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about AI adoption and what we need really to think about when we are adopting AI and go to market. Because I know you've had a lot of conversations with customers. You know how they are adopting AI, what the weak spots are. Maybe let's talk about this.
Honestly, what we see is that our customers use ChatGPT. That's the number one tool that everybody's using, I guess. In terms of, and we know that all AI. The question is whether we as companies will adopt new AI tools and products,
Yeah.
or we are expecting to have the tools that we're currently using with AI features added to them. And I think it's the latter until somebody really disrupts the market. Think of it. And we know that Outreach, SalesLoft, all these companies are working on AI add-ons to their process, right? To speed up the process. This is, I think, what people are looking to do. I don't think they're there yet. The companies are there yet. It's not that holy grail. Yeah, it could help us personalize or polish our outbound messages. That's basically it. That's what at least we're seeing or I'm seeing out there.
Right. When it comes to, it's maybe an interesting point. Very often we are talking about, and we see a lot of post articles on that, how AI is helping on like our go-to-market strategy and so on. However, I think usually when there is any mega trend, in this case it's AI, it could be anything else, there are other changes that are happening. It's not our internal processes that are evolving, right? The entire world is evolving. If our people that are working within our company are changing the way they work, it's very likely that, for example, our buyers, our partners, our vendors, everybody will change the way they're working. I think we also discussed this actually with you in our prep conversation. This is something that maybe still it's a little bit not so much considered in the entire picture of how AI
Yeah.
is disrupting us and changing us, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest impact right now of AI is not on the sellers themselves, but actually the buyers. Think of it. When there's a power shift right now,
Yeah.
because if in the past, doing research and understanding the pain and a possible solution to your pains and your problems was very hard to do, right now with AI, we believe that sellers are much more knowledgeable. So when we interact with our prospects, they are much more knowledgeable on the solutions that it used to be in the past. And we believe that requires for us as sellers to change the way we sell, right? Because we all know this, we as humans don't like to be sold to. And especially when we already come with, hey, I know you don't need to sell me and talk about everything that your product does. I already did the research and AI helped me identify and how I'm going to solve my pains and what solutions that are out there. You don't need to, I already know that, right? Focus how you are different than your competition and how we are going to achieve impact together. So that requires us to change the way we are selling. I think that's one of the biggest impact that we're currently seeing.
Right. Yeah, very interesting point actually. Good. What else did I want to ask you? So when we are talking about mega trends, on the one hand, we mentioned that. How do you see, because AI, usually you mentioned many tools that have been existing on the market, they are trying to add different AI functionality to it, right?
Yeah.
How do you see this technology landscape evolving? We all know the current issues that we are facing with, for example, right now, let's say the most traditional tool that sales marketing people are using, the CRMs, right? And one of the things that we've discussed with you is still a problem with the CRMs, really to kind of in order to know your customer, your leads, and so on, is really being able to have not only the structured but also non-structured data there and having some good insights,
Yeah.
right? Good analysis. How do you think those traditional like tools are going to change? Where do you think we are going?
Yeah, I saw this post the other day on LinkedIn, and I forgot the author, but he introduced a new concept, which is the real impact of AI could be in a form of disrupting the CRM landscape. When you think about this, let's take Salesforce and Hotspot for that matter,
Yeah.
they are all structured data.
Yeah.
And we all, are having the difficulties working with those platforms if we don't insert the data properly. So if it's not structured and if the seller doesn't talk or insert what happened in the meeting, what was the outcome of the meeting, there is next steps, etc., we don't know what is happening. So it's all about structured data. And what this guy, and again, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. He says using LLMs, large language models, if we are if we will be able to capture unstructured data from where we actually conduct our sales activities, which are Zoom or Gong, emails, Slack, WhatsApp, that's probably the four main channels, and maybe phone calls. If we'll have a solution that is able to capture that unstructured data, because a call until it is turned into transcript is unstructured, if we're able to capture all that, we will be able to disrupt the CRM platform. Right now, what Salesforce does, Salesforce creates an API to Slack and then adds in the Slack messages in there. But can we take an LLM model to actually analyze and correlate those pieces of data from that unstructured data? If there is a company that is working on it or will do that in the future, that will completely change the way that we are doing. This is one angle. Another angle is that we tend to think that a sales process is something linearly, right? You do discovery and then a demo and then a POC and then proposal, etc. We know that in real life, especially the higher the ACV is, that it's not really a linear process because we have a discovery and a demo with one stakeholder and then she brings in another stakeholder and we need to do the process again, discovery, stakeholder. And then we do a proposal and then, okay, something changes. We need to go back to the discovery and reevaluate what we're selling. So we know that the sales process in a lot of cases is not really linearly. If we are able to create a CRM platform that will be able to cope with an unlinear sales process, that will also really disrupt our industry, especially the type of sales that are selling to higher ACV enterprise, mid-market kind of segments. So these are the two things that we currently see that could really disrupt the market. We haven't seen anybody working on it. I don't know what Salesforce is doing behind their closed doors. Could be. It's just that we think that this has a great promise to it.
Yeah, and the second thing that you're mentioning when it comes to this non-linearity in the sales process, this is to a large degree not connected to this type of AI that we are used to seeing like in the past few years, which is the generative type of AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other types of AI are still to really grow and develop, and we're going to hear more and more in the next few years about that. So yeah, interesting thing. Something else.
Before we move on, there's also companies that are trying to do better forecasting out there.
Yes.
Right. So let's take that unstructured data and based on different signals that we're getting from that Slack message, from that emoji that the client sent to us in WhatsApp, and from the call that we clearly define next steps, can we do a better forecasting? That what we currently have is whether it's based on the stages, the scoring, or the gut feeling of the sales professional. So I heard one company that is trying to do that, and they are going to add two layers. One is the human forecasting level, which, yeah, for good sellers who actually know how to sell, yeah, their experience is unmatched. But there's also the level of AI. Just look at past performance, like look at similar deals that were in the pipeline and how they evaluated based on the signals. And yeah, there's a lot of WhatsApp conversation going on. It's pretty more personal, etc. Yeah, that's a good indication that it's likely to close. So let's use that in order to do AI forecasting.
Yeah, and maybe the other hard piece about having such kind of tool is that even if you manage to take into consideration those emojis, like the tone of voice, like the way you are, for example, like your face, what you're doing with your face, with your arms, right? Sometimes, yes, there are signs that, for example, the studies not for nonverbal language say in 80% of the cases that means X. Okay, but what about the other 20%, right? And what if someone is using an emoji in another way that's not so traditionally accepted, right? So there are so many things that you need to kind of consider here if you want to build such a tool. Yeah, very, very interesting. And still, like, I'm going to ask you one question, which I've been asked several times, especially last year. And I mean, after this AI revolution started, many go-to-market leaders, before taking any kind of, because still, maybe you would agree with me, there are a lot of leaders that haven't taken any specific kind of education on how to integrate AI in our organization, right? They're still asking those very high level questions. Okay, we know AI is a thing. We see our competitors are bringing it to their companies. We are willing potentially, to invest in AI, but like we don't know where to start, what to invest in. Like, I guess there are such people that will be watching us, and that's very normal, right? AI is something still very new, so a lot of people just don't know where to start, let's say this way, or maybe how to build a business case that really will look okay, so their kind of proposal is approved. What would you say about that? Of course, we're talking about go-to-market fields.
Yeah. Right now,
Yeah.
it might be controversial what I'm about to say, but right now, just stay on the fence. And I'll give you an example. Take from our company.
Yeah.
We also are researching and investing in AI and trying to understand what happens, what is going to, and how that will disrupt our business model. We implemented or built an AI product in one very specific task that we're doing when we engage with our customers. Yeah, AI this task is a repetitive task, and we did the cost analysis, and yeah, it makes sense. And we worked with an agency that created that AI language. It's built on open source AI language, packages, whatever it's called, and they built this product for us.
Yeah.
And we spend a few. It's not a lot of money, but we put some budget on this, and yeah, we developed this. And guess what? Google came up with a solution. So Google Notebook LM, right? That's that. Basically, we could do the same thing using Notebook LM. It came up 2 weeks after we got the final version from the vendor or the agency that we worked with. So we spend, again, it's relatively not a lot of money, but we did spend efforts and time and some money on this, and then Google came in. So it's developing so fast right now. Generally speaking, I wouldn't invest. I'm talking only on the GTM side. I'm not talking about the product side. That, of course, every company and product development using AI or incorporating AI in the product, that's outside of the scope. I'm talking about GTM.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a lot of promises out there. I wouldn't invest too much. Let's use the current, and for those of us who are using Salesforce, HubSpot. These two, I don't know. Einstein is kind of AI, although a bit disappointing, from my take. But Gong and Salesforce, SalesLoft and Outreach, all these companies, all these tools that we're currently using, they're all going to come up with their additional features using AI. They're all working on it. It's no surprise, right? Just wait for the tools that you are currently using to come up with those solutions instead of going and trying out different things. So this is my approach. And of course, coming back to what I said in the beginning, just make sure that on a day-to-day basis, whether it's open ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever the tool is using, but it really saves time on that micro level kind of thing. So I love to do that. This is how I work all day. Every email or correspondence with a customer that is more than 4 sentences, I go to ChatGPT, making sure. So that's the basic. I haven't seen something that I would say, hey, that's worth investing in AI right now for a go-to-market leader.
All right. So maybe if I have to summarize, if you are not using those very traditional tools, that's for the ones that you've mentioned, for example, email writing, developing summaries, and so on. Of course, start using those. It can get 20% there. But if it's about really innovating with AI, diving deep, you either need to invest so much to stay ahead of the industry because everybody and the big players are working into that, or just stay on the fence and know that if you are not into this day and night and working 150%, likely someone else has started developing it and will be ahead of you, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're in that small incremental kind of improvements. That's where the stage that we are. There's no game changer right now. In terms of go-to-market kind of strategies out there. At least to the best of my knowledge, and everything that I'm saying is based on what I know right now. The market is moving so fast. Maybe in 2 weeks, somebody launches a new product that I haven't heard of, and that completely changes this. So if you're listening to the recording, I hope nobody...
Check the dates. Check the dates.
Exactly.
All right, good. And maybe last thing before we end this episode, maybe you partly answered the question that I was about to ask you as last thing. But as we talked about disappointments in general for the industry, as we talked about benefits as well, I wanted to ask you if you have something top of your mind as either a disappointment or benefit for you. What was the thing that you, for example, you had a bet on AI and disappointed you, or the opposite? What was that surprised you about AI and now you're happy about it? If you have any story maybe to end with.
Yeah, I think the disappointment is something what I said in the beginning, right? That AI sales coach.
Yeah,
that's a disappointment. Yeah, because of the disadvantages that we talked about using LLMs to do that. So that's a disappointment. And we research a lot. We talk to at least 10 different vendors that are thinking or doing some versions of that. We're not there yet. So that's a disappointment. In terms of promise, I don't think Gong, they are talking about the fact that they're doing AI. I don't think that's not... Even if they are, everybody's doing AI, right? So it depends on how you... But it's not the big AI thing. But when we look at Gong, and we're starting to see a lot of sales leaders or even individual contributors, sellers, talking about the fact that they go to do the predictions and deal flow analysis, pipeline analysis in Gong, which they find easier and more accurate than the one in Salesforce. I think that is a good indication of where this is going. And that's something that is it's not surprising because Gong said that since the beginning, that they will eventually turn into some sort of CRM. But yeah, I think that's the win from my end. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and we see more and more sellers going to Gong to do their pipeline review. So
Okay, very interesting. This is what we should be following.
Yeah, I think so.
Great. All right. So thanks a lot, Rui. It was great pleasure, actually. I think this was very interesting that you shared, at least for me, hopefully also for our audience as well. Again, thanks a lot to everybody who is watching the recording. This is not the last episode of the series. It was the last episode in which we had Rui, but we're going to have other people also from Winning by Design. So stay tuned with us. And thanks to everybody who watched us, to everybody who's commenting, everybody who's contributing. Have a great summer, but also don't forget to watch those series, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks everybody, and bye.